In today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make this beautiful sweater that I made with mohair yarn and another type of yarn that I found online, but you can also be using the carom cakes to make this sweater. And in this sweater, there's a few things that I want to show you guys because I found a different way to make the neckline a little more round that can be used as well for beginners. So if you never made a sweater and the neckline is a little hard for you, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to quickly make the neckline in a way that's easy and that's round as well. Okay, there's one more thing that I'm gonna show you in this tutorial, and that's how to change colors to make these stripes here without cutting the yarn. Okay, so you have much less knots on your project. Let's dive into this tutorial. I'm gonna start with the materials you're gonna need for this sweater, but as it's a very light sweater, it doesn't take much yarn at all. I think I used around 250 grams. It's very light and so soft, guys. It's beautiful. So let's dive into it. To make this top, the material you are going to need is 50 grams only of mohair. Unless you want to double it, then you're gonna need 100 grams. And I'm using as well this yarn here that I only bought because in promotion. It's that's how the yarn looks like. But because I couldn't find any yarn similar to that in America, you guys can use the carom cakes, okay? That's these yarns, the same weight. And I think it's gonna look good as well in this pattern. So I'm making a size medium for this sweater, but in the pattern down the description below, I'm going to share all the sizes from extra small to XL, okay? So if you're making other sizes, I have in the pattern that I say that because you can probably make the sleeves. If you're making small or extra small, you can make the sleeves on a Sentro 40, okay? If you're making larger sizes, you can probably use the Sentro 48 to make the sleeves, okay? I'm gonna show you the sleeves that I already made. So to make the sleeves, around 96 rows. And so I started with 3 rows of waste yarn here, and then I just swap colors each 6 rows, okay? And I'm going to repeat that on the whole pattern. It's going to be 6 rows of each type of yarn, and then I just cast the stitches off with tapestry needle and a yarn with a very different color, so the stitches are easy to see at the end, okay? And also the bottom of the sleeve, that's the second sleeve, all I did was I slip stitch through all the stitches here to finish this sleeve in one side. The other side I left like this because that's gonna be on the shoulder, okay? I wanted a few more rows on this first yarn that's a little less see-through than the other one. This is how see-through it is. And it's so soft, guys. It's beautiful. Okay, let's get started with the front panel. So for this tutorial, the reason why I'm only explaining the front part of the whole sweater is because all the other parts I kind of made the same way, okay? So I'm going to start casting on stitches with waste yarn, and I'm making 3 or 4 rows with waste yarn, okay? I'm going to cast on from the first needle, which is this one for me, right after the white one, and I'm going to cast on 45 stitches for my centro, 48. Cast on all the way to needle number 45, and then now I'm going to make my way back to make 3 rows with this waste yarn because that's all I have. I'm gonna make that last stitch there, and then I'm gonna just put this yarn in because I don't really have enough to make 4 rows. I'm going to do this way. I'm ready to start now on needle number 1. So now I'm going to be making 22 color changes for the size medium, and I'm going to start with this yarn here. Leave a longer tail here so we can seam the sides later and the sleeves as well, around 1 meter or maybe a little more. And then make 6 rows with this first yarn. And then after this I'm gonna show you how to exchange the colors going after this. Now I made 6 rows with this first yarn, and to make the color changes I'm not gonna cut the yarn, and I'm going to do that on the sleeves as well. And so in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna drop the yarn that I was using here, and then I'm just gonna put the new yarn in, which is this very fine mohair, beautiful mohair. And then I'm just gonna start making my rows. So I'm going to make 6 rows with this mohair now. As you can see, it's a very easy yarn to use on the Sentro knitting machine. And so is this yarn here. Okay, so now I made my 6 rows with mohair. And I'm going to just drop the mohair inside the machine and untangle this. And grab this other yarn that I'm gonna work now. And then I'm going to start here, put the yarn inside the yarn guide here. Make the first stitch and then make sure you stretch it a bit. So pull the yarn from before, and then stretch this a bit, so this length, the length that the yarn has here, is gonna be the same length of your 6 rows stretched after. Okay, so because you need to allow the fabric to stretch after. Okay, so that's why we pull a bit in this first stitch, and then we just make the 6 rows again to then change the yarn. So this can be done only for a pair number of rows, of course, because you need the yarn on this side always. Okay, if working on the tube mold, you can have 3, 4, 5, 6 rows. It doesn't matter because you're gonna always start in the same needle. Now this works really well for 2, 4, 6, maybe 8 rows, and the reason why is because you're gonna have a bigger gap. The more rows you have, the more distance you're gonna have in between them. So I like to do this for only 2, 4, and 6 rows. If you have color changes like 10, 12, you need to cut the yarn and restart again with another strand. Okay, so I'm going to keep making these color changes, and I'm going to do this 8 times for this size, this medium size. Okay, so go ahead and exchange the colors 8 times, making 6 rows in each time, and then I'll come back to show you what I'm going to make for the top of the breast. I want this only solid. Okay, and here after making all my color changes, and this changes for each size, so you have to have a look at the pattern to see, but I have 48 rows for a size medium. Okay, now I'm going to use only a solid color, and that's because I want a solid color over the top of my breast, so it's not see-through on that part. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the yarn now because there will be 30 rows with a solid color. I'm gonna cut the yarn, put it aside, and then I'm going to start working only with this color. So I'm going to do exactly what I did before. I'm going to put the yarn in here to change the color without the need of cut. So put it down, make sure it's not tied here, and let me show you the other ones. So this is how the color change looks like. As you can see, I'm stretching the maximum that I can, and this is the strand here. It's the perfect size. So just change the next color, pull it a bit so you have the right size of yarn here to allow the fabric to stretch, as I said. And now I'm going to be making 30 rows with the solid color. If you never worked with panels before and panels are very difficult for you, I have a course on my website, knittingmachinepatterns.com, that you can make. It's only $16, $17. And you can learn exactly how I make this panel, so the panel edges so perfect like this. I'll walk you through in this course like every single step to make a perfect panel and to start making your own garments, because it's so cool. You can make so many things using these machines. So make sure you do that before you make this tutorial, and that's gonna make your life much easier if you don't know how to use panels yet. One more thing that I wanted to say is that I don't work with this piece of my machine on the panel mold, and that's because I like to work the tension with my fingers. So that's how I use it, like this. And just put the yarn inside the yarn guide, and then I work this way. Just close my hands with all my fingers and I let the yarn pass through. And then here on the corners, what I do is with my finger, with this finger, I just pull the yarn so it's tied on the beginning. That first stitch is tied, and that makes the perfect edges. Now, if you want to know more about it, just make the course, the panel course, and then you learn it, how to make it in depth. So I made all my rows, and now I'm going to cut the yarn of the last color change, which is the mohair, because on the last color change, and I'm going to make 6 rows as well, I'm going to make the shoulders, okay? Because I like some shoulder space, like on the top. I don't like the neck straight on my neck, because I just don't like the feeling. I like to make a little bit, just a few rows on the top of the shoulder, so it gives more space for the head. And so I'm changing the color again here on the beginning, and I'm going to be making 12 stitches now, with only 12 stitches this way, okay? For other sizes, this change a bit, so be aware of that. Yeah. 2, 4, 6, 8, 12 here. Okay, so on number 12, I'm going to fully remove this, and then I'm going to get some waste yarn because I'm going to remove these next stitches from the needles, and then I'm going to leave to make the last 12 with another strand. So I'm just gonna grab some yarn. So if you want to place a marker, just count 12 stitches this way. To place a marker here so you know when to stop. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Place a marker there so you know when you have to stop. And then you can just release these stitches from the needles and grab them with some waste yarn. Okay, so otherwise they would completely open and you just be a mess. So we need to secure them this way. I'm just gonna drop this so I can start making the other sides. Grab another yarn ball with that same color here. And then what we're going to do is where the marker is, we need to put that new yarn in and work the last 12 stitches with this new strand of yarn, okay? Okay, so just make this 12 stitches. Okay, and then make sure you grab this last here that we left. Okay, not this one. This the last, this the first. That's the first one that has the yarn already, so we leave this one there, and we can just remove the needle now. Okay, so this is what we have. We have 12 stitches on one side to make one shoulder, 12 stitches to make the next shoulder. Now we're going to be working with these two yarn strands, so I'm going to make 6 rows now. Okay, you can make more if you want your shoulder to have even more space. Now I'm going to be very careful here because I dropped a few stitches, so I'm going to go very slow to not drop another one. Now we can make the 6 rows here and then work on the other side later, or you can go all the way there and work the other side. Now I'm going to work them, just dropping stitches here. Four, 5, 6. I think 6 is enough for me. Okay, so I'm making just 6 stitches and then I'm going to cut this yarn here. Make sure you leave a little tail so you can seam later. Okay, and then I'm going to go all the way to where the other strand is on the other side here, all the way there. And then here we're going to put the yarn back in here. And see, we already made 1 row before, so we're gonna make 5 more. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we are going to release the stitches from this side, from both sides. You can release, just release all the stitches from the needles this way. And then with some waste yarn we are going to remove the shoulder stitches from the needles. And then I'm going to put all the stitches of the other shoulder in another. This is what we have now. And so for the back, I'm going to be making only a square. I'm not making these extra rows here, but you could as well, okay? I'm just, I don't think it needs, like, it's gonna fold like this to the back. So I'm just going to seam with 10 stitches off the back, and I'm gonna show you this later. But for now, I'm gonna show you the size that this has. So this is 17 inches, 18 inches, or 45 centimeters here, okay, and sideways. So you know, I think this would fit a large person just by looking at it, if you are using your sweater stretched. This is 46, around 46 centimeters stretched, or 18, around 18 inches. But it does stretch more, like if you know, if you want to use it very stretched, it will stretch to around 20, 21 inches. So you know, okay guys, how, you know, if that would fit. But remember that if you stretch this a lot, you will have to make more rows, because it's gonna be shorter just by stretching the stitches, okay? So I'm going to make the back part of it, which is that square. Okay, I'm going to be making 22 repetitions for the back only, okay? I'm not gonna be making these last stitches here. So, and then I'll come back with you to join all these pieces together to make our sweater. I have here my 4 pieces, the front, the back, and the 2 sleeves here. And now I'm going to leave the sleeves aside for now, and I'm going to finish the body of this sweater first. First thing I'm going to do is get 2 markers, or 4 markers, because I need to place the sleeves here. So I like to place the placement of the sleeves a little bit like this, stretched, because it always works for me, so that's the way I do it. And because this design has stripes, it's quite easy to place on the right spot on both sides. So I'm going to place here. And then you know that's on the other side in this same, the end of this same stripe here. And then also here, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The last one is not gonna count. So it's gonna place a marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right here. So now I know that I have to seam this design all the way to where the marker is on both sides, okay, here. So I'm going to seam these 2 sides together using the mattress stitch all the way to where the marker is, okay? And then later on I'm going to add this sleeve. I just like to work the whole body of the sweater before I place the sleeves. I seam the sleeves. And then on the other side, you're gonna choose one of these stitches to work. I like to work in this second one because we're going to seam through these 2 parts of these 2 loops, the inside loops of each knitted stitch. And so, let me see, this one, I know it's hard to see in this yarn, but on the other one it's easier. So these 2 here, and then the same 2 on the other side here. I'm gonna show you on the mohair when I reach the mohair, because it's just easier. And make sure when you reach one stripe, you're working with the stripes on the at the same spot of your like when you start one row of the color change, you on the other side you are in the same place. And here, because I can see that my last stitch was here, the next one will be here. So I seam 2 rows at a time together. And this is how it's gonna look like after. So I'm going to seam all the way to where the marker is on both sides, okay? And then I'll come back with you to show you how to join the shoulders together with the back. Now with the yarn tail that I left on the shoulder, see how useful they are? You don't need to make an extra knot on your work. I'm going to start seaming the shoulders here, okay? So make sure you pull the tails until they are very little on the side where you are going to seam, like this. They're very little. And you're gonna go from this side now. I'm going to put the hook through. It's going that way, and I'm going to put through and bring back to the front of the stitch, and then the next 2 stitches on the other side, from the top to the bottom and from the bottom to the top on the second one, and then pull it. And then on the other side I'm going to do the same. This first stitch that I just worked with this second one, like this. So this is how our neck cut looks like after we seamed both shoulders. As you can see, it's not that straight on the top, and this is a very, very easy solution for this, okay? That I was thinking the other day, like I was like, there must be another solution for that other than, you know, decreasing all stitches this way and that way. So this is a solution for beginners, okay? If you guys just starting and can already make panel to make a sweater. Now I'm going to make this bind off all the stitches for the neck here, and I'm gonna quickly show you how I do that. You're gonna make a slip knot to start. So put the hook through this first space here, yarn over, pull it through, pull through again. And then we can start removing this waste yarn as well. Now here you have to be aware that if you make the loops too small, this is going to be tied on you after, okay? So you need to make sure this loop here, the one that's on the needle, has to be a little wider, okay? A little more open. And here, make sure you grab the last loop of this mohair, okay? As you can see here, this is the last loop. And then yarn over, pull through. I'm making slip knots, slip stitches here. Yarn over, pull through. And with very wide loops. So I'm going to do this the whole way on both sides. But when I get here, I'm gonna show you how I'm going to do on the side where we have the knitted stitches facing the other way. Now I'm binding off my last stitch here from the back panel. And now I'm going to start working on the side. So I'm going to work in this first space here. And then here it's going to be hard to see, but I'm going to skip one row and I'm going to work on the very next row. And then skip this next row and work on the next one. And then bind off the front stitches as well. Now, as soon as you finish on the last, you're back on the first stitch where you started. What I'm going to do, or what you can do, is just half double crochet or even double crochet in each stitch if you want it longer. Okay, I'm going to half double crochet in each stitch that I had before, just to make this neckline a little more thick. Okay, but this is how our neckline looks like now. You can actually make it even longer if you want, you know, or you can make very short like I did here, or you can make just this one if you prefer and just leave like this. Okay, I'm going to make an extra row because as well it's curling a bit, so the extra row of half double crochet helps a lot with the curling of the panels. Okay, so that's all I'm going to be doing in this next row, and it's gonna be one stitch, even though you can't, it's hard to see here, but it's one stitch to every single stitch you made before. Now this is how our neckline looks like. And now make sure you get rid of all the yarn tails inside, making knots and hiding them like I did here. And just to show you guys, these are the color changes we made just by swapping the colors instead of cutting the yarn. As you can see, they stay inside and it's very hard to see, so it's completely okay to do that, to use that solution. Now I'm going to start working on the bottom. Again, I explained this a few times before in other designs if you want to see it better. And then just slip stitch inside it. And then put through the second loop. Make sure also these loops are very wide, otherwise you're gonna have the bottom really tight at the end. And then put it through the second stitch and slip stitch. It's just what I did on the neckline. It's the same thing. Making slip stitches here. So I'm going to repeat this all around this piece. And here on the sides here, when I have these 2 stitches that are curled in, I'm going to make these 2 loops of each side together. Okay, so you're gonna put the hook through both of them, and then I'm going to use yarn over and slip the yarn through both of the loops together. Okay, that's the only difference. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to quickly show you how the stitch that I used to put the sleeves together. And then before you remove all that waste yarn, make sure this is wide enough to fit your body, otherwise just undo it and remake it all again. Now we need to find this yarn here, this piece of the yarn that goes through all the little stitches here. Now I'm making an extra row like I did on the top here, with half double crochet, just so it looks a little better and doesn't curl that much. So I'm doing this here now. And then I'm just gonna add the sleeves after to finish it off. And then this is one of my sleeves. To bind off the sleeves, what I did was exactly the same I made on the neck and on the bottom of the project. I'm going to just put it here and attach a new yarn. And then here, see where you have the tail? This has to stay on the bottom, and that's because we had the yarn change, the color changes here. You can see it a little bit, so I just prefer to leave this for underneath the arm, okay? And so to start this, I'm going to start in that very first stitch. See, it's here, that very first loop. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same stitch that I actually made on the shoulder together with the mattress stitch on the other side. So one side I'm making the graft stitch, and this is how you join sleeves. And on the other side I'm going to make the mattress stitch exactly what I was making it before. I'm going to make like this. So it's just really the two stitches combined, and I'm going to leave a link down in the description below for you guys to look better in another video that I have, just because of this type of yarn. I'm going to leave a link down in the description below. This is my video for how to seam sleeves to sweaters. So guys, this is how our sleeves look like seamed, and on the side as well. This is the finished piece. It's a really light fabric, beautiful for fall. And I'm gonna show you guys me wearing it for you guys to see how it fits. And so if you like this content, if you think it was any helpful to you, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. That always helps me growing my YouTube channel. And also the patterns down in the description below if you want to make any other size for you as well. And if you want any ideas for headbands to wear with this beautiful sweater, I'm gonna share here the next video. It's gonna be the 47 different types of headbands you can make on your Sentro knitting machine.